And you know, us sports moms have something to say.
Yes, we do.
We'll have a chance to interview across the board, from athletes to the parents to the coaches to even the trainers.
And we're not afraid to share our journey. We're not afraid to tell other moms what we went through in order to raise up a student athlete. So I believe that it's inspirational.
We able to tell our story, the good and the bad.
We can give back positive information.
Absolutely.
You know, we can empower them.
Yeah, I think it's time for the mothers to be a voice.
Yes.
That's it.
It's time for us to let you know what's going on. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your girl, Shannon from Can We Talk Sports. I know you can't see my face, but that's all right. I'm here with my host,
Kawashika.
Hey, this is Karen, you guys. What's up?
All right, this is going to be a great show. I know y'all wondering, like, where is Shannon? So let me tell you something, just real quick. I am, like, stuck right now because my hip, was it 3 years ago? I was in a tornado situation, and so trying to run from my car to the store to take cover, I slipped. I didn't fall. I slipped between the door and trying to get out, and the water and the wind. And so ever since then, my hip been hurting. Girl, look, y'all been wanting to try to pull me. You ever had a toothache that's so excruciating? Right. You just want to pull your face off.
Right.
Can't get to it.
Right. I told my husband, I was like, let me just cut off my hip and my right side of my butt and my hip. He's like, nah, baby. No, we need that hip. I was like, this pain is no joke, man. But anyway, so I'm still good. I'm still making it happen.
Well, that's
you know
awesome.
What I'm saying? We still making it happen right here on Can We Talk Sports.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I know that's right. Because, you know, my hair, I'm still trying to do that self-care with my hair. You know, I had to go put something on it to slick it down so I can look presentable. Because, you know, when you're in quarantine, you don't care how you look. You just get up and move around and stuff. So I had to figure out what to do.
I know that's right. Listen, y'all, I was going to try to do the show. I really was. I was like, they don't need to see me looking like this, making all kind of faces if I move and my hip hurt and stuff. But look, I want to say something. Kawasaka, thank you so much. I'm excited. So my NutriBurst came in yesterday and my tea. Yay! And man, I could tell you what, since yesterday and today, I can tell a difference. Yeah, I really can. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And you know what? I didn't realize so many people, athletes, just people are on it. And it's selling out. Went to the site and it was like it was out, but they're shipping more in. But people they got to take care of their health from the inside out. I'm big on that. I told my son, I was like, listen, to be an athlete, you got to take care of yourself from the inside out first. I don't care how good you look on the outside, but if your inside is damaged mentally, spiritually, your outside is going to catch up. Yes. So yeah, I'm big on preaching that around this house. So take care of yourself from the inside out.
That's right.
So anyway, so let's move forward. We got a great show. We have some coaches on the show today.
Shout out to our coaches.
First of all, shout out to Mr. Scott, Michael Scott, for joining with us. PCP, Parents, what is it? Oh, let me look at it, y'all.
Parents Network.
Yes. Thank you for joining. I'm so excited. He's coming along with us to do this interview. And we got some coaches. We have Coach Malone from, hold on, I got to get my flyer, y'all. I'm kind of maneuvering around
Kansas
here.
State University.
We got Coach Malone from KSU. We got Coach Jones from NSU. And we have Coach Smith from Lincoln. So listen, we got some heavy hitters on the show today. I'm super excited because I want to know what's getting ready to happen after COVID-19. What's the recruiting going to be like? So if we can we bring our guest to the show?
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Malone and Coach Jones and Coach Smith. How
you
are
doing?
you?
Great to be here, ladies. Thank you.
Oh my
Welcome to the
gosh.
show.
Welcome to the show. And Mr. Scott, how are you? Oh, can you hear me? I think he's on mute. Okay, so let's move right along. Our show today, we're going to be talking
I sure
about,
can.
you can hear us. That's great. We're going to move along. Our show is about the pandemic college recruiting. Okay. So my son came downstairs. My son played in the NFL, and I went to OU. And he came downstairs today. He goes, man, there's talk that colleges may consider doing just even next year online courses. And he goes, if that happens, what will happen to sports? And I was like, there's no way they could do that. That just seems impossible to be able to do that. So I'm glad I have 3 college coaches here to clarify this conversation about about next year's, this year's coming up sports. So is that possible? Someone?
Thing is possible.
Can y'all hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Coach Malone.
But when you think about what's going on in our
Can you hear us?
Yeah, Kawasa, because they can hear. We can hear them.
Okay.
And when you think about what's going on in our system,
Oh, okay. She
you
asked
you
the
have
question.
to,
That's why I was asking. Can they hear you?
You have to look past this thing that
he's talking
on, which is athletics, and make sure that we're doing the right thing for these young men, and then the fans who will be in the stands. But I think the people who make those decisions are doing everything they can to make sure that we do have sports. Once this virus is passed, there's gonna come a point where things will get better, where the country will open up, and we'll have sports. So I believe that it will, but you just got to do it in the right way.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of different scenarios that's out there. Like Coach said, everybody's trying to have a season this year, starting with football and then transitioning to the rest of sports. But I see also different models about pushing back some season. Maybe jumping into the conference play and all types of different scenarios. But I do think that everybody's trying to make a conscious effort of trying to have sports this year in some form of fashion.
Wow. Okay. So I'm excited because I'm going to be co-hosting with Mr. Michael Scott. So we'll be tag teaming back and forth with questions, and I have my list right here. So Mr. Scott, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the lead, and then I'll just flow right with you.
Yes. Good.
Can you hear?
All right. I appreciate that, and thank you for making all this happen. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good. It just seemed like it was behind.
Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, one thing that I want to try to find out from the coaches and share with our listening audience, coaches, have you been given any type of guidelines or guidance from the NCAA on moving forward post this pandemic?
Prior to the pandemic happening, we had to, Division II all over. We had to stop NLI signings. So that was probably the first thing that happened as far as just recruiting by cell phone, text, calls, and everything. And that opened up, I want to say, this past week. And right now the guidelines are, recruiting from home and kind of playing everything by ear with all these scenarios that's going on.
I would agree. It's the same thing for us on the FBS level. Is that I think the NCAA just wanted to kind of get things in order to make sure that there was a structure for the coaches, and now it's just do the best you can to recruit players. There's no idea for us in terms of the timelines for kids being able to take official visits. Because there was a new wave of kids taking official visits during the spring and taking official visits during the summertime. Well, we won't be able to do that because we don't have our own students on campus. So I think the players who are getting recruited understand that. And so you just have to find creative new ways to show them your campus without actually having them on your campus.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this question for Coach Smith and Coach Malone.
And so what are some of the things that a prospect can do now?
Something I preach to the prospect is always do your homework.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so what I think is happening is we're falling behind because I think it's getting to him late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him just ask the questions because I'm going to send him a message and let him ask the questions. But the only one that I do have right now is for the 2 football coaches. How for your spring league, because your spring league game was coming up, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
so how does that affect, because spring league, you were able to see, who's going to be your starter, possibly, spring league, there's a lot that goes to spring league. So now what do you do because of this situation? Do they reschedule spring league or do you just have to just move on?
My situation was a little different. Actually, this pandemic happened, I want to say the first week of spring ball. So we had 1 practice and everything was shut down. So right now there's no talks about redoing the spring league. That may be adding on to fall camp here pretty soon, depending on when things open up. But as far as spring league, it kind of, didn't work in the favor of us coaches. We have to get better. And we played with a lot of freshmen this year, especially offensively. I had all freshman wide receivers, freshman line. So this is the time in the spring where you really get better. So, now we took a step back and you got to take 2 steps forward once this is all clear.
Okay, so what about you, Coach Malone?
I would add that, just like Coach Smith said, you make a lot of plans in the spring to determine, especially when you have like young players who are going to be playing, or you have heated competition at one position or another. It's a situation where it was out of our control. And so you're not going to be able to replay those days. And so, what we've told our players here is that the only evaluation measure we have is you making sure you're taking care of your business academically, you making sure that you are receiving the workouts that our strength staff sends you. And we send challenges out, physical challenges, and our players do physical challenges between the positions. And that's really our spring right now, And so in terms of the position battles, in terms of all those things that probably would have been settled in the spring, well, like Coach Smith said, at some point we'll get back together. And that's when, a guy will have to make his presence known.
Okay. Now, Coach Roberts, March Madness was canceled because of all this, correct?
Yeah, March Madness was canceled.
Okay, so now how does that affect you when it comes to basketball?
Well, with us, they got canceled the day we were supposed to play in the conference tournament. Like about 5 hours before we were supposed to play, that's when everything got canceled. So, it was just disappointing with everybody. You work all season to try to play in the March Madness, especially in a smaller conference. We don't get a lot of at-large bids. So your conference tournament is what you have to play to get into the, to the big dance. And that's everybody's dream. I mean, that's coaches' dreams too, honestly. And a lot of players and coaches are made during March Madness time. So, it was all disappointing doing that. And also with just the whole March tournament getting canceled, a lot of revenue to the schools are going to be lost as well. There's a huge TV deal. It's what they call units. Every unit, every game you play in the March Madness is a unit for your conference or school. And if you have multiple teams, it's multiple units. And some of those bigger conferences are losing, millions upon millions of dollars. So it had an impact on everything across the board.
Okay. Coach Scott, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Am I on delay?
Yes, sir,
you are. Am I delayed somehow?
Yes, sir, you are.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. But my question, coaches, and anybody can chime in and take this one. As far as GPAs are concerned, with athletes not being able to finish out this year, is there going to be some type of waiver on the GPAs?
Yes, sir. They push for, finishing our classes online or giving the students a pass-fail option. Me personally, not a fan of pass-fail. It helps some students, but it hurts others as far as freezing the GPA and you get a P or F. So that's how we're carrying, going about finishing the semester. And the hard part about it is we stopped so early. Now we've been having to track our kids at home by phone, by text message, trying to check up on classes. So it's been pretty hard, during this time, trying to make sure everybody stays on top of their academics.
Now we have our high profile athletes or our blue chippers, and then we have, those that are yet to be signed. Is there something that those that haven't been signed yet can do to, because normally you would have a bunch of unsigned showcases and different events going on, spring events going on to get those kids some type of visibility and some type of exposure. So what are some of the possible things that they can do now? Is video something that you're using more of, or what's some of the things that they can do?
I think a lot of kids are sending video, via email. Probably too many are sending video through email. A lot of kids, I think also it will help if, you understand what level they should play at as well, too. I know everyone wants to play Division I, and people want to play high majors. But, if you're a 5'9" power forward, please don't send me email. It's like, it can't do anything for me. It's like, a lot of kids are sending emails, and we're trying to go through them diligently, but there are a ton of emails that my coaches and myself are getting per day. So, that's an interesting thing, too. I think a lot of times with this transfer portal that's happening, and JUCO kids, we can watch that on our video network, like Synergy, which is a video, site that we can watch. So that helps us. But, some of the high school kids, there's going to be some kids that's going to fall through the cracks here. Honestly, it's always a good unsigned diamond in the rough that you might see at a camp in April for us or July recruiting that we're not going to see this year. So there's going to be some unsigned kids that can really play. There's going to be some bad decisions made too on kids and coaches. There's going to be some kids that's going to make some decisions to go to school that they never saw, obviously, and there's going to be some coaches that are going to make some decisions on the kid that they've only seen play on video. So it's going to be some interesting stuff that's going to be happening going forward.
I'd like to add, and that's exactly right, Coach, is that, the kids who want to be recruited or are in these positions unsigned, it's going to be rough on those guys because you can't have those showcases that we talked about. But it's this pandemic has put us in a terrible situation in terms of kids, like Coach said, kids making decisions, not even seeing the campuses. If you think about grad transfers, for example, a kid, and I'm just going to, a kid left University XYZ, and he put himself in the portal that he was going to leave University XYZ, and he did it just before the shutdown. So now that kid, he's out in the abyss, right? And he's never going to get an opportunity to visit a university, and he's going to have to make a decision because when we come back, it's going to be time to start fall camp. When we come back, it's going to be time to jump into the fall. So this kid never had an opportunity to do all this visiting. So he put himself in the portal, and he has to make a decision. And honestly, we're probably going to have to make a decision without even visiting the school that he goes to,
Wow, that's rough. That's a tough pill to swallow, and I can see how these young men and young ladies may be running around here with some form of anxiety. With that being said, has there been any modifications or extensions done to the recruiting calendar?
Not at this time. And the reason that I would not think that there would be is because we're still in a state, we're still in a place where we don't know. There are some kids out there who want to take official visits, and there are some other kids out there who are already ready for this process to be over. They already know where they want to go, and so you have two sides. So I can understand where the NCAA is with not making any modifications at this point, but there's two sides of it in my mind.
One I will say that will affect this recruiting class that we're on right now is waiving the SAT and ACT tests. So we had a few guys that were set to take those tests in May and June, but now the pandemic happened, they can't take the test. They still have to meet the core GPA requirement, but now they did modify. They don't have to take that ACT or SAT.
And that's going to help. That's going to help a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I can see how that is going to impact the bigger picture as far as your season's coming up. What type of contact can you have with the athletes at this point?
As far as recruits, just by phone, text message, or call.
A lot of FaceTime going on right now.
Yes.
FaceTime.
Yes.
I haven't FaceTime yet.
Oh yeah, we it's been FaceTime is the
FaceTime,
new
Zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, something that really caught my attention early on was as I was thinking about this here season, and I know football, you're right around the corner, so this will be the time you start the group on, getting everybody situated, getting ready for your practice to start somewhere around June, July time frame. With that being said, and everything has been shuffled, how is this affecting the class of 2021?
From my standpoint, it just gives me a late start to 2021, not really finishing up this class that we have to deal with now as far as making sure the applications get in, making sure they're doing everything on their end because now nobody's on campus. Financial aid isn't on campus. Burst off isn't on campus. So, it's kind of been a disconnect there from making sure the student takes care of everything they need to. So now I still might have to go out and recruit for this class. And like I said, the test being waived, that definitely helps. So now I don't have to have as many guys on my board as hopeful as if these other guys fall through.
Your question was about the class of 2020 or 21?
How does it affect 2021 class?
Okay, so this pandemic won't affect them in terms of their being waived, the ACT being waived for 21 guys. But like I was saying a minute ago, you have guys in 2021. Those guys some of them they're ready. They're done with the recruiting process. But this pandemic for that guy has pushed it back. He can't take his official visit. He can't really make a commitment like we talked about before without even being on the campus. And so you push him back. And so I think Coach Jones talked a minute ago about guys falling in the cracks. So then what's going to happen is we're going to be chasing the 21 guys, and that marginal guy, he probably won't get much attention because we'll be chasing the blue chippers for a longer period of time. Whereas they would have been signed already.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was going to be the case. But when thinking about that and looking at that big picture, and then I wish we had somebody on from the Division III, but even looking at a partial scholarship with the pandemic and a lot of the finances, was cut out, like Coach Jones was talking about earlier, not being able to go to the big dance and all these other little perks that came along with that. Will there be some financial burdens that athletes will have to experience, as far as if they receive a partial scholarship?
I mean, I think that with Division I, I mean, for our team, we don't give partial scholarships, so that won't really affect us too much. But I think that as far as financial burden, I think the athletic departments are going to face some financial burden. I think that athletic departments are counting on the revenue from NCAA tournament. Hopefully, it's a long football season, and you count on revenue from that. And I think that that's going to hurt the athletic departments tremendously. I mean, you look at across the country. I mean, there's some athletic departments across the country that people are taking pay cuts for a year and things like that. I'm trying to knock on wood that doesn't happen here, but I see that happening across the country. That there's athletic departments taking pay cuts and stuff like that. So this is a big deal. For the state that we're in right now is a huge deal, and we'll see how we come out of it. Also, there's some stuff that that's happening with us. I just had a conference call today. A conference call was that with the threat of football not happening, some athletic departments are calling on basketball to play more guarantee games to raise more money for the mid-major conferences and things like that. So it's a whole bunch of things that's going into this right now that I think a lot of people don't see behind the scenes, and it's a tough situation that we're in right now.
At the Division II level, we're all partial scholarships. So depending on how this thing plays out and how long it goes, it will affect our budget in some way, form, or fashion. We just don't know yet.
And that's interesting, and because with the two sports that's represented this evening, football and basketball, with these two sports being the two major revenue sports in college sports, I wonder how this will also trickle over to some of the non-revenue sports. Have either of you been approached by the athletic department, the AD or whatever? And I heard Coach Jones allude to something that talking about playing more games to try to generate some more funds. Is that going to be something like part of the normal?
I mean, I think you see some athletic departments, even you saw recently, even in the 757 with the Old Dominion, they cut some non-revenue sports. And you see a couple, schools across the country cutting non-revenue sports to try to save some money on their budgets coming up, because it's a tough time for everybody. It's a tough time for everybody, and I think everybody's trying to figure out a way to figure it out, and also, like you said, trying to figure out a way to salvage the football and basketball. That's what drives the athletic department.
And when you think about it, you also have to put you have to put Title IX you have to factor Title IX into it. And so when you talk about cutting sports, right, and you're not going to be able to cut the women's sports and not do anything and not do anything to the men's sports. It's going to have to be balanced. So I think it puts athletic departments in a terrible situation, already in a terrible financial situation. But when you talk about the decisions that they have to make sure things are balanced and equal, then that also, that adds another twist into it. I've heard of some programs already closing their doors, and like Coach said, man, this is just a terrible place to be in, from a financial situation for athletic departments, but just in our general society, like he also said, we're going to get through it. We're going to, as a nation, we're going to get through it. But it's going to be some belt tightening across the board. On all levels of athletics and even within our general society.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned belt tightening, Coach. As I think about that, based upon the NCAA's little rule that came out, the waiver that came out about spring sports, will there be any athletes that may lose their scholarship or, lose their spot on the teams that any of you know of?
I know on the Division II level, since we do partial scholarships, those scholarship student athletes that will return in the spring will not count against your budget number for the year. So it won't affect anything on our level.
And for the most part, that's the same thing. Is that the universities? I mean, they're going to honor those kids. It's only right. It's only fair. So I think across the board, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that that those kids are taken care of.
Well, this program was put together by a group of phenomenal ladies that realized that they needed to start talking about sports, as well as my organization, the Parents Coaching Parents Network. So one of the biggest questions that I had coming into this and deciding to put together this podcast was, what can we do as parents at this point to help our children get through it? Work through the anxiety, get through understanding what's going on. How can we help them?
I mean, I think what you said exactly. A lot of kids are going through some anxiety, going through some depression, things like that. Especially for the seniors, there's probably a lot of anxiety because you don't know what you're going to do next year. You got scholarship that you're hoping for. You haven't got that offer yet. And you're kind of in limbo a little bit about where you're going to school at next year. So I think parents got to try to be as supportive as they can through these times. Like Coach Malone said, we will get through it. I know it's like a slogan that's like used across the country right now, but it's the truth. We will get through it. How quick we get through it is another question to be proposed. But we will get through it. This thing won't last forever. We hope it's over in a timely fashion, but also a safe fashion too. So we hope that we can get back to a normal way of a life. I think that you can just be a support to the kids, and those kids that are still home, try to stay active if you can, exercise, do things like that. Try to stay active as you can, so we'll get through it.
The thing in talking to my own kids, as they face challenges, and I definitely respect that this is a big challenge for a young man and his family, because they sacrificed a lot over the course of a career, and here they are at this point with all this uncertainty. But the thing I say, and I'm sure the other coaches on here say it to their team, is, hey man, control what you can control. You can't control any of this, right? And so if your grades are right, you got total control of that, right? If you're working out and putting yourself in the best position that you can, if like the things we talked about, sending videos, trying to reach out and communicate to coaches, if you do all you can do with all you have, then that's all you can do. And as a parent, I think the encouragement to really get your son or daughter to see that listen, you can't control if Coach Malone likes your video, right? I don't care if we've got a pandemic going on or not. You can't control that. You can control though how you work. You can make sure that your grades are in order, that you're doing everything you can to be ready, right? If Coach Malone all of a sudden calls you, because because we made calls before and a guy wasn't ready. His grades wasn't ready, or I call him and then I call the coach and the coach said, oh no, don't mess with him, right? And so I think it's important that kids who have done their thing and done the right way, man, listen, that if you can go to sleep at night knowing that you took care of your business, then that means that God has a different plan for you, right? And you can be satisfied as you roll down that road.
That's and interesting that you closed out on talking about down that road. I've been reading a few articles in different publications, and they talked about a number of athletes that were, how can I put it? They had this fear of going too far away from home, and they didn't want to do the travel thing. You know how an athlete will come out to Kansas from New York somewhere, or down to Florida, or someone would come to Norfolk State, from the Midwest. But I was looking at an article that was talking about a number of athletes that have decided to stay closer to home. Have either of you experienced that, or had an athlete change his mind based upon not wanting to travel as far?
Yes, sir. Definitely run across that in the recruiting field. Even in Pennsylvania, we are the only HBCU in Pennsylvania. So there's a whole PSAC conference that kind of runs Pennsylvania. So they kind of run the state as far as recruits. So I was trying to recruit outside the state. We do run into, a lot of guys just want to stay put, stay close to home, stay a few hours. So our roster reflects it.
Well, we haven't ran into those problems yet. I only have one scholarship available, so I guess it's a little different for me. But we only have one senior on the team, thank God, and that helps a lot in this situation. That 12 out of our 13 guys come back next year. So this is not the perfect time for this to happen, but for me, this is the perfect time in recruiting for this to happen, because I just got to pick one guy, and if I don't pick that one guy, then the other 12 that's coming back, I think are pretty solid. So it should be okay. But it hasn't happened with as far as the recruits that we're looking at as far as locality as of yet.
Of course, we recruit players regionally, but then we also recruit guys from across the country. And the challenge that that we present to guys is that you're in a place in your life where definitely it's much more comfortable to stay in your zone, right? That zone of comfort where you know everything and you know everybody and you know how it all works. But I think the challenge in life is to step out of that zone, right? The challenge in life is to grow. If you just think about what we've all heard about, pushing out a nest. If you don't ever get out of the nest, you never gonna fly, right? And so we always challenge guys when we are recruiting from distance, is that this is an opportunity to step outside what as your comfort zone, to step into a place. Now you have to do it with people that you trust, right? So you have to establish a relationship with the young man and his family, and your family. That family has to trust you to give their son to you. But I think there's something unique about that. I think there's something unique about stepping out. And we as coaches, we do it all the time, because I'm from Texas, and I've recruited and I've coached in North Dakota and Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Ohio and Arizona. And so we do it all the time. So it's familiar to us. And I know it's a challenge for young men, but that's kind of the way I present it.
But these are different times. We have to realize that these are different times, Coach. And you have those moms or those overprotective dads that just went into a total panic during the time of this pandemic, and was the first one up there at the school to pick up their child. So now to try to get them to step out and get into that comfort zone, I understand what you're talking about, and I understand how it allows him to grow and mature. But do you really expect that it's going to be just that easy to talk him into it, or there's going to have to be a serious relationship building process?
It has to be a relationship because again, and this is what I tell parents. I say that if your son went to the school in the same town that you were in, and something, knock on wood, and something happened, you're in the same town with him, I would get there before you would, right? I would get there. I would know about it before you would. And don't think, I'm not discounting at all where we are now, because I went and got my son, right? But when we get back to normal, normal will be when we get back to that place, we still have to challenge our kids to grow. We still have to let them go. We still gonna have to. They're not gonna be able to stay with us. So I think that, like I said, I know, but they got some stuff right here. You can see their faces. You can see what they're cooking. You can follow them around the room with the technology we have today. So that'll still be my challenge is that we have to go back to the place where we were in terms of growing and pushing ourselves out of that nest.
I can see that happening. I can see that happening, and that's going to be I think it's going to be a long process because, as you talked about, getting back to normal. I don't think we really and truly going to get back to the normal that we once had. I think we're always going to have that apprehension and be a little hesitant moving forward. What was that, Coach?
It'll be a new normal.
Yes, truly. I agree with you. I agree with you. Totally, I agree with you. Well, yeah, hey, fellas, I think what y'all laid out here tonight has definitely been a pleasure. Ladies, y'all have anything to add or put the spin on, put the twist on? Because mamas look at it from altogether different perspective.
I definitely have something that I need to ask the coaches. It's something that we always ask the kids, and that's their backup plan, what they're going to do if they didn't have sports to play. So I'm coming to the coaches. What if we don't get back to normal? What if we don't play sports anymore? What if we can't gather 20, 50,000 people at one time? What is your backup plan as a coach?
That's a heck of a question.
I'll answer that one.
I don't even want to think about that.
Man, there's a whole lot of folks I got to get rid of.
That's a heavy hitter to end the call.
I think that, and if we didn't have sports, it'd be a crazy existence for us all. But what the coaches I'm on the call with, I'm sure what they do is they influence young men, they develop young men. And so we would just find a new place to be able to do that. And there's nothing like building character like failures and winning. And there's nothing like growing a young man up than to put him in a place with people who are struggling and striving just like he is to reach a goal. You get that in sport, you get it in some other, you might get it in band, but it's another level, when you do it in sports. It'd be something different if we didn't have sports. So I don't have a backup plan if coach somebody. right?
See, if you would have said, baby, we don't have sports for the 2021 season, that's different. But to not have sports ever again in life,
Yeah.
Totally different conversation.
Man, you just better get ready because I'm coming coach you.
Well, I was, talk about in the sense of, do you do something else other than sports? We want to teach I raised my son up and that's all he did was sports. And so when he stepped away from sports, he had to figure out who he was. He didn't, he stayed and played this game every day. But as far as figuring out what else he liked to do, he had to figure that out because he did sports all his life. And I didn't introduce him to nothing else. I didn't introduce him to music or nothing else. It was only sports. So I'm sure that's your life too.
I think from that perspective, you try to go to school and things that have a profession. You play like when you're a young kid, you play sports. It's like youth games, youth sports, and you all dream about being a professional athlete. Now, obviously, a lot of times that's unable to achieve being a professional athlete. So you have to have a backup plan. Whatever that backup plan is, whatever you majored in, you go from there. For us, it's like I tell people all the time, I feel like I hit the lottery. It's only 353 head Division I basketball coaches, and I happen to be one of them. So, for me, I've reached, a point in my profession that's, I guess, in a good space. And, the backup plan is if there is sports, then I guess I would, use my degree, which is in business and marketing, do something which I, maybe I've done in the past. I used to work entertainment in the past. Maybe I try to jump back into that field. But, that's a tough question right there, because it's a little different, I think, for us being that we're professionals in this thing instead of like actually being a kid that's an amateur and hoping to be a professional one day. I think it's a little tough.
Yep, I agree. To chime in off of that, us as coaches, we've been in that same place before too. I played Division I football. I bounced around the NFL, the CFL, and I found myself in the spot injured. Like, what am I going to do now? The ball go flat one day, and that's what I preach to my kids. And, I preach academics. I make sure I stay on them guys all the time. That's why it's a tough time for me right now, trying to, make sure they taking their, classes seriously. We just finished exams this week. So, it's a tough spot. But as long as you take care of business off the field, then you always will have a plan B.
Backup plan. If there is sports.
Say it again.
So I've been just listening. I've been in the back just listening. Mr. Scott has been taking the lead and killing it with these questions. So my thing is this. I am like, I believe that with my son, with my children, actually, I worked on a plan B because it's like Coach Smith said, you never know when an injury comes and you need to be prepared. I think that sports won't be over forever. I think going into 2021 will be challenging. I tell my son and some of the young people that I talk to, we're at a place where the playing field is leveled because you're going to see some guys who are they just don't have it in them to, I call them spoiled athletes. You know what I'm saying? They're used to going, I tell my son the pretty gym, and they're used to coaches telling them to get up and do things. Here, I believe you're going to see some guys who are hungry that is taking this opportunity to get ahead. It's like no one's waking you up. You're going to have to make a makeshift gym. You're going to have to be creative because this is what the coaches are going to see. Who's really hungry when the doors open? Who's really going to be ready? So I think 2021 is going to be really good because I believe we're going to see some people that was kind of in the back burner literally come to the front because even, with my daughter for a moment, she plays basketball. And for a moment, for that first 2 weeks, she kind of just laid in the bed and I looked at her and she starts on varsity. And I looked at her and I said, so just because you're not getting up going to practice or you don't have that pretty gym, you're just going to sit here? And it was like reality hit her. I was like, you're going to have to put your mind to this thing and go, okay, I'm not going to sit here and let this defeat me. I'm going to get in front of it, because it's going to be interesting when the doors open. So no, I don't think sports is going to be canceled forever. I think a lot of coaches will lose their mind. I really do. I'm being honest. Like, you, like, even in this house, you're sitting there like, oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sitting here now like, man, can some sports, something be on TV right now, you know, because we're a sports family. So yeah, but I believe you guys are, I want to thank you for checking on your athletes, because you have a lot of athletes that are mentally, this really it's hard for them, you know, not having that, you know, college was a safe haven for some athletes. College was a safe haven, you know, coaches were like dads to them, to some athletes, you know, they had to go back home to places that they thought they would never go back to. They thought, you know, from college, either I go pro or I'll get my own. So, you know, thank you to checking on the athletes and making sure they're okay. And I want to say to all the coaches out there, continue to do a great job checking on your athlete. You know, my daughter's coach check on her, and she's in high school. So, and yeah, so that's kind of where how I feel about everything. So this was a good show.
You know, I want to say one thing. I want to just, you know, appreciate you guys as coaches, because sometimes you get the other end of it. It's like, why you didn't play my son? You know, that was a bad call. You need to be fired. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you as coaches. When my son was trying to be recruited, I was praying for the coach who was going to be the person that's going to mentor him to the next part of his life. So I just want to appreciate you guys, your sacrifice. One day we're going to have you guys, your wives on the show, because, you know, I want to know how the wife has to handle the house, because you're dealing with 100 kids. And how do you come home and separate 100 kids to focus on your very own kid? And so sometimes the wife, they have to do the mother and the father role as far as allowing you guys to be coaches and bring home the livelihood, the paycheck and stuff like that. So you guys, I just want to, you know, say I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your sacrifice. Sometimes we don't understand that when we're in the game, when we're hollering from the stands, we don't understand the sacrifices you guys make, but we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, this has been a great show. This is your girl, Shannon, at Can We Talk Sports. We are, man, this was good. So Coach Scott, thank you for joining along with us, PCP. We really appreciate it. And to all those who are watching, listen, share it, because there's a lot of questions that are coming up about the NCAA and the rules and college and what's next, and is my kid gonna play? So listen, watch this show. If you guys have questions, I know you can go to the NCAA website to find out for more information. And also, if your kid is getting ready to go to college, get in contact with the school or the recruiting coaches to find out what they can do next. So this is your girl, Shannon, at Can We Talk Sports. I'm here with my host.
Hey, this is Karen, but let us let the coaches give us one last little saying to our people who are listening. Let's let everybody just say one last little tidbit for each one. So how about starting with you, Mr. Scott? Give your last shout out before we end the show.
Okay, well, hey, thanks and total appreciation from the Parents Coach Parents Network. We're live on a couple different platforms, Spotify and Anchor and various other platforms, doing our podcast on a regular basis. So check us out. Check us out on our Facebook page and PCP Network on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, Mr. Smith.
Coach Tim here. I just want to say thanks for, having me on the show. Actually, Mr. Scott came to one of my seminars I did last year, which is kind of the same thing. I wanted to tap into, the parents and the athletes and really preach to them, each level of the divisions and everything they can set themselves up for, prepare for, SAT scores, pretty much everything. So Shout out to you guys for, doing what you do. And any recruits out there listening or watching, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Coach_Tim Smith. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jones, Coach Jones.
Just appreciate you guys for having me on. Once again, just reiterate, everyone stay safe. We will get through this. I know it's a tough time for everybody, and I know everybody, this is a sports show. Everybody wants sports back, and so do we. But we have to take our time and make sure this thing is done right. But, everyone stay positive, stay encouraged. And, hopefully you guys will come check out a game whenever those games happen.
That for sure. All right, Coach Malone.
Well, I'm extremely excited and proud to be a part of the show. But I like to say to everybody, this pandemic is something that we can count a lot of negative things, but I think there's something that's very positive that has come from it. It's given us an opportunity as a society to make sure we understand this is a time for growth. I said something earlier, is that if you look at the words, opportunity is now here. If you look at it differently, it could say opportunity is nowhere, right? So this is an opportunity, man, for us all, ladies, gentlemen, sports figures, and people who are not in sports, for us to rebuild ourselves. It's an opportunity. It's a time for us to push the reset button and start over in many ways. Thanks again for having me.
That was powerful. Well, Shannon, you want to say goodbye again? you just want me to say?
This is your girl, Shannon, at Can We Talk Sports. Thanks for joining the show. You guys, like to say, stay safe, stay blessed, and we will get through this. Have a great evening, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right, bye, you guys.
Have a good one.